Hey, everybody, you're listening to another episode of Real Rap with two guests here.
No,
Jason.
no, Shane. No.
Split Tube Media and the Cinesthesia podcast present a special daily October podcast. Hell to the king.
Hey, women!
Waiting for this? Is this what you're looking for?
Shut up!
This is what I'm ready to give you.
If getting on spin.com is like the key to success,
Right.
It's pretty strange because I'm looking at the front page and it has how Jimmy Eat World was inspired by Rage Against the Machine and Van Halen, and then how Tom DeLonge is partnering with the U.S. Army to study alien alloys.
So, Shane, I know that
Good for
you
him.
are a younger man. This happened a long time ago when Spin was a thing called a magazine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been
Is that like
that's been.com, Shane.
is that like Adbusters?
Nadbusters.
That's what I'm about to do all night.
Yeah.
I'm glad Shane's here because finally somebody will laugh at my absolutely terrible jokes about genitalia.
It's true.
I always
laugh
make
at some
them
of
and
them.
Jim
It's
just
when you
frowns
make-
and shakes his head at me.
If you made more jokes about nads, I'd laugh. It's just when you make really graphic butthole invasion references.
Well, like, Jim,
Some episode recently I said a thing about nougat, and Jason was like, yeah, rub it in your asshole.
We recently on
It's too grimy. It's too grimy.
on our
I
podcast.
do it if you're into it. I'm not
recently-
against it. You know?
and my mind wanders
joked,
where it wanders.
Wait, Shane, you have a podcast?
Yeah, I have a podcast called it's called
Riled rap whoops.
it's called Riled Up, and it's with my boy, and we made too many jokes about the devil's asshole being what Lauren Conrad's asshole probably looks like, that it's not as like nasty as you think, and Brett was like, yeah, you gotta cut it.
He made you trim your devil's asshole references?
Yeah,
He made you trim
we've
the
had to
devil's
trim
asshole.
a lot of it.
What a harsh editing.
Damn, this I'm gonna get in trouble.
Was that just for like worries of slander? They worry that Warren Conrad would be mad that you made insinuations about his butthole.
No, it's my general nastiness and my general obsession with the human asshole that I think worries the Splatoon team.
Well, you know, they knew who
Is
they were
that-
getting into bed with.
I feel like my
Yeah.
general nastiness could be the name of your auto-bio.
Speaking of which, the only Stephen King book I've ever read was his memoir,
It's a good book.
and yeah,
I like that book.
It is. He's got a lot of hard and fast rules about writing for a guy who's not the best writer.
Is that true? He's like, you have to use all the 26 letters. Don't repeat a letter until you've used the other 25.
Well, his rules are all about like normal storytelling and like
You should average
making
one space per 10 characters.
punchy prose, and it gets to like
Yeah.
because Harold Bloom always had who rest in whatever, I don't know, he just died the other day and he was a real son of a bitch, but
Oh damn, rip.
but he always had a real stick up his butt about King's prose, where people like to try to be popular in academia, and so there's a lot of arguments about like Stephen King is this generation's Charles Dickens, like that's how he'll be remembered. And Bloom would be like, on a sentence to sentence and word to word basis, he's just not a writer.
What, so's everybody.
He might have plots, but his language doesn't do anything other than just give you the plot. Like, that's not writing, that's just typing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which I don't fully agree with, but
That's a pretty harsh
I like
critique of the idea of writing.
50% agree with the core concept of it, which is
Sure.
that if you're going to be like the next level and actually be like an artist as a writer, then your sentences do have to do something. Just like in a film, your shots have to do something. They can't just give you the plot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if all you do is put a camera down and then like the things that happen in the story happen, you're not really making a movie.
Well, unless you put that camera down in the best place.
Right, but you have to know where that place is.
Yeah.
And you can tell when people are just putting it down.
Yeah.
And that was sort of Harold Bloom's point, was that, like, he's just putting it down. And I don't actually agree. Right. I think King has more going on than Bloom thought, but he also has less going on than people who think he's Charles Dickens. And so all of his rules in his book are like, make sure you don't
Charles
use
Dickens
too many
also
adverbs.
Just putting the words down? Isn't Charles Dickens like, I have to use the most words in this story on account of 2 cents?
No, that's the thing that always gets said about Dickens, but it's not actually true.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely read his stuff, and it is very wordy.
It is very wordy, but also so is everything then.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I was reading...
Seems like a pain in the ass.
I was reading Middlemarch the other day, and George Eliot has an aside where she starts talking about Fielding's novels and how much she loves... Like, this is in the novel. She's just started to talk about some other novelist in, like, an authorial voice. And she talks about, like, oh, we love his histories, but they're far too long for our hurried modern age. And then I'm looking at her book, and her book is, like, 600 pages.
Yeah.
So like, it's just always that kind of thing. It's like everybody's just condensing down from there. You know, we've gotten to the point where, like, Stephen King writes longer books than Charles Dickens.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with that information. I'm going to go pee out my pee hole, and then I'm going to get a beer.
You're a cheap date, Shane.
I feel like Jim doesn't really want to do this with me anymore.
No, I love doing it.
Oh my god, I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, what a fucking grave you've dug to do this.
Absolutely. No, it is. Doing a podcast every day is a nightmare.
Do your notes look like mine in that they're just like Gypsy Caravan ?
Yeah. A lot of them are. I look at it and I'm like, what does this note mean? It just says it says lumpy fingers. I don't know what that's in reference to.
I have one that says homoerotic locker room belly rubbing.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's real. That's just about high school.
That was just a memory.
Yeah, that was a flashback you had while watching it. What is he laughing at? You can't even hear us.
Did you guys hear that sweet crunch of my head against the shelf?
Oh, is that what that was?
I leaned over to sit down too far.
If I were a doctor, I would look at both of your eyeballs and be like, that's an unhealthy person.
Sorry, both of one of our eyeballs, or all 4 of both of our eyeballs?
All 4, the collective 4 eyeballs.
All 2 of 4th of our eyeballs.
They're all red. 4/4.
Sorry, and what kind of doctor would you be, Shane? Are you an...
I'd be the type of doctor that comes by your bedside, no matter what time of day.
So an asshole.
So you're
kind of gives you the lowdown. I'd go to your. I'd check. Let me pick my words here. I'd evaluate your wife and then call you behind her back and tell you about how she's doing.
Oh, that's an important doctor to know.
But she's not your patient?
She
You're just evaluating her in the lobby, or
could I pay you if I saw a guy in a coffee shop? Could I pay you to follow him home and evaluate him and get back to me?
But let's talk about the movie.
No, I refuse. Actually,
yeah, I've completely forgotten it.
Oh, you've forgotten what we watched? We watched Thinner.
Can I just jump right to my favorite part of this movie, which is me at home imagining that Gypsy man going up to the other guy and going, "Lizard ear."
Oh my god. So this wasn't a made-for-TV movie.
It was not, but it feels
once the explosions happened, I was like,
"Oh yeah, that's
kind of high for a TV movie."
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only reason they put the explosions in, actually, was so that people would be like, oh, this feels like a movie.
Satisfy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the whole
scene
mafia
I actually
thing.
was not into. Like, the dream sequence with all of the explosions. I was like, wow, this sucks. I want to go back to the weird, seedy mafia story.
So, Robert John Burke is a big fatso, obese, rich lawyer.
Yeah.
Cartoonishly fat.
Yeah.
He seems like he's not a fat guy, but a drawing of a fat guy.
Yeah. They put him
All
in
of his weight
they
is
put him in
kind
a
of
comedy
around-
fat suit. They put him in a fat suit that would be
Yeah.
at home in an Eddie Murphy film
Yes.
from the 90s, not like an earlier one.
Also, most of this film, at least to begin with, plays out like a comedy.
Yeah. Well, it is. I feel like we're at this point in a solid era of all of these Stephen King movies being sort of horror comedies with a humanistic element to them, right? That's kind of where we are in this run. I know you're going to lecture me about Misery, but I'm not including that. This is the post.
I
the post
wasn't even
going to
mention it. What I was going to say is that Wikipedia says that this is an American body horror film,
No, that's not.
which is that's an incorrect read.
That's a lie.
They barely even show his
There's
body.
no
except for
body
his,
in the film.
There's that one shot of the judge in a dream when he is a lizard man that is a little horrifying.
when he's driving the car.
Yeah.
He's like, "Get the fuck in here! My face is falling off."
Yeah, it's the best.
That was the coolest scene when
Yeah.
his face is like the makeup is changing so frequently
Yeah.
within that one scene
Because it is
and it's
genuinely
all
just falling off his
flaking
face. Yeah.
Oh, but that was the dream sequence that annoyed me because
Yeah.
I thought that. So what I thought actually was that the film was making a bold choice in having the
Having
scene
the gypsy guy
actually
appear in multiple.
actually
Yeah,
play
me
out
too.
that way.
Me too. I was a little mad when he woke up because as it happens, because they ramp it up, right? It's like he gets in the car with that guy, and then the gypsy guy is suddenly in a vehicle that he couldn't have gotten into. and
Right,
you're
well,
like,
that's when I-
"Whoa,
that's when I knew it was a
crazy.
dream.
And then he's in a second vehicle, and that's when I knew it was a dream because I'm more willing to follow paths than you are. But I was really disappointed because if they just let him be a magical gypsy man, which thanks Stephen King, he just really leans on any path that's available to him.
Oh, absolutely.
Because at first I thought he was fetishizing Native Americans like a Mormon does, but I don't think he is. I think he just latches onto them because it's easy.
Yeah, it's what's there. It's but
And
because
that's
if you
and
want
the
to
gypsies are the same way in this.
if you want to do the generous version of it, like you could say it's because it's what's there, but you can also say it's like, and I guess that's actually what you are saying. It's the tradition that he's working in. Like all of his books are just reworking themes and plots from older stories. Like and
Yeah,
that's,
with no re-examination at all.
No. It's just a. We've talked about this before, where like the plots of his books are just excuses for him to then get to the work that it feels like he's supposed to do, which is craft characters that then experience these things.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what he's doing. He's just running back through these different versions of basic fantasy and horror stories.
Yeah, but you don't have to have an Indian bear on the ground and a magical Negro in The Shining and a band of gypsies. And,
I'm not saying you don't have
write
to
the same thing and not do that.
Yeah, I'm saying that was the generous version. It's not necessarily the true version.
Sure.
I like in the beginning, our big fat obese lawyer is at his bedroom window and sees just a huge caravan drive by. He goes, "Gypsy caravan, huh?" Just walks down to breakfast.
Like that's just a thing that happens sometimes. Yeah.
He's like the more liberal of the uptight
the
white
sleazy
people.
dudes,
Yeah, of the white men from
Yeah,
town.
everyone else is so mad. And when they're busy
Fucking gypsies!
yelling across the street at them, he's like, well, I think they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
they got charm.
So
And
this is a movie about as you said, Robert John Burke,
John Cole,
who is. I don't know how you guys felt about his performance in this movie. I think he, in general, is a really awesome actor.
Sure.
I thought he was pretty cool.
I don't know him in general, but I think he does what he's supposed to do in this movie.
Yeah, like I think he has like a manic darkness to him that he doesn't get to show that often in what is the bulk of his work these days, which is being a kind of mean cop on TV.
Okay.
So I hadn't gotten to see the. I always like him when he shows up because he's gravelly voiced and he's convincingly evil and dangerous, and you're like, yeah, okay, if I was in a room with you, I would be afraid of you. But in this, he just he got to have a little bit of a gleam behind his eye and kind of a like show his teeth a little bit in a smirk, and I was really excited by that.
Well, he also legitimately 80% of his body is covered in makeup the whole movie.
Yeah.
So all he has to act with is his teeth and his eyeballs.
Yeah.
And he makes the most
like-
bewildered faces and the most angry faces. And
Yes.
he
Yeah.
has
With
a
those
very strong
pieces.
face game all through this movie.
Yeah.
Seeing him act in the face fat suit is so good to me.
Yes.
So it just feels so right. Seeing him like all scaredy and like mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like fake cheeks wobbling around in front of his real cheeks.
I also, at first I assumed that like, oh, as he loses weight, he'll get to have his own face. But like, of course that's not true because he has to have the saggy flesh off the bone thing. So it was kind of...
There must be one scene a third of the way through the movie where it's actually him, but I don't remember seeing it.
I don't think so. I think he's made up the whole time.
Yeah.
Even when he's skinny, it looks like he's kind of fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they're like still putting weird kind of baggy stuff, but they're trying to make it like the skin hang off him or whatever.
Yeah.
They're making him so gaunt that he still feels something.
And his body still looks fat.
So Robert John Burke is this fat lawyer who
gets Joe Mantegna off for some crime.
He runs over a gypsy woman.
Yeah.
With his car.
Yep.
Wait, it's important, Jason, that Joe Mantegna committed a crime and he gets him off, and he's so thankful that Joe Mantegna is like, I'm going to give you everything forever, and then he runs over a gypsy.
Yes. Yeah. But details. The baseline. He runs over a gypsy with his car, and then another gypsy puts a curse on him to make him
the grandfather of that gypsy.
Thinner. Father. I also feel like I need to posit right now that we're saying gypsy because that's what they say in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they say
it a lot. Yeah.
Oh boy, they do.
Oh yeah, they do. Which it would have saved me a lot of time as a kid if I'd seen this movie because I grew up not realizing that
Gyp was
gypsy and that just gypsy alone was already like a problematic thing to call people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
The police chief in this movie is the same police chief from Super Troopers, so for the first half an hour, I was like, is Super Troopers a sequel to this? Because he's up near Canada in that movie, but then he gets all boily and shoots himself in the head. So,
I mean, again,
clearly not.
For at least the first half an hour of this movie, it is played as a comedy.
Yeah, I would say for the whole movie, on and off. It's a horror comedy for the rest of it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that, Jim, you are correct that
But this is what this stretch is.
Well, the proper way to engage with them is as horror comedies. I
think they are being made as horror comedies. You don't think so?
These films are certainly, at least in the cultural marketplace, posited as here's the new horrifying thing, not here's the new romp in a horrifying world. And this movie was a romp.
Yeah, absolutely.
The stuff with the third party guys that were cursed as well was like kind of too serious that for them to be like perceived as funny seems like too fine a point that people making this movie would be able to make, and that the stuff that's funny is like kind of more subtly funny. I think that him in the fat suit is just so hilarious.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to like poke too much fun at it. And actually, never mind. When he's eating dinner with his daughter and on that yacht,
and she's
eating
so
dinner,
disgusted with him.
so funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes.
Stephen King's Thinner. More terror. Less filling.
There's also the dude that Joe Mantegna is being prosecuted on behalf of is like a thin, wet dog. Max Buchenfeld. I don't know the actor's name, but he's just like the skinniest, like guy with like long, weird, wet hair. I feel like there's a lot of funny. I feel like it's pretty consistently funny. I don't know. I think everything's funny, and Jason hates me because of it. So
I feel that. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. That I hate him.
Yeah. No, Shane also is hating me. Is what he's agreeing with. I think.
Right. That's it. Well, yeah, I was going to get to that, but not.
I think that I just want to guard against us overestimating how much people know they're making jokes.
I refuse to underestimate anyone's complicity in the film that they're making.
Which is a noble way to be. But I don't think... It's the way I wish I could be. It's the ideal to reach for, but I don't think it is always the truth.
I think that the guy who did the whoever put that dang big picture of an eclair behind his dinner table.
Yes.
I think
Genius.
he had his tongue planted firmly in his cheek, and I'm going to tip my hat right there.
Oh, literal hat
I think
tip.
the people who did the costumes and whoever did the explosions and whoever did the set design seem like people that were all had a sort of different idea about how this should go. And I think it came together wonderfully, especially the guy. I think all the shit of his house being this like whitewashed ass. Oh man, I'm looking at a picture of that dang Eclair painting right now. I don't know. It seemed like they got like the scary makeup guys on, and they went really gung ho. Then they got the explosion people on. They went pretty gung ho. And I don't know. It seems like a pretty strong effort from all parties, specifically our lead, Mr. Three Name.
Yeah, replacement RoboCop.
Burke.
Burke.
So a bunch of stuff happens in this movie, and then he goes to confront the gypsies at a fair, a carnival, and they're doing carnival stuff. And he yells at them, and then they yell at him, and then the Carrie Warrer, the main lady gypsy, reaches over to a wall of prizes that he could win, and it's just 1,000 dolls of him and his two friends that got cursed. And I sort of get what that's doing in the movie, but I also think those are terrible prizes for a booth at the fair to have, because they're disgusting. And I don't know. When I was watching it, I was like, wouldn't it be freakier if there were more than just the three of them?
Well, and that's the whole part where I got disappointed that was all a dream. Because,
was that also the dream?
Yeah, that's all part of the dream. That's why I got mad. He never confronts them in real life at the carnival.
Are you sure?
Yes. Because he runs away from that carnival into the car with the lizard man, and then...
Right, but how do you know that that's where the dream starts?
What?
In my brain, the dream starts when he gets in the car with the lizard man.
How would it start there?
What do you mean? How does a dream start anyway?
He's literally running away from her, chasing him. She's still there as he gets in the car. It's all part of the same scene.
That's how I read it. I don't know, man.
That's insane.
I thought it was weird.
He wakes up and he still hasn't found them. So he's never talked to them yet.
He was in his house?
I thought he had confronted them and then he had to find them again because they move on.
No, it was all one scene and it was all a dream. And he woke up and hadn't yet found them.
Well, that's even more disappointing.
I agree. That's why I was disappointed. So I thought I was making a really strong choice for how he was confronting them at the carnival. And then, as he ran out and got in the car with the lizard man, I was like, wait, the lizard man's here? This has got to be a fucking dream sequence. And then when the guy was in a car that he couldn't be in, I was like, all right, just waiting for this to end so that we can get back to the movie.
Maybe I only let the end of it be a dream in my own head because I liked it. I wasn't willing to lose that carnival confrontation.
Yeah.
So the gypsies have cursed these three men who legitimately they murdered this guy's granddaughter, right?
Daughter.
Yeah.
That's a granddaughter.
No, the granddaughter's the hot one.
It was his daughter.
Oh.
Because she says you murdered my mother, and that was,
Oh, okay, whatever. I don't care. That is an insignificant detail. He's chasing them, and they're like fundamentally on the side of correctness, right? Which tracks with Stephen King. Stephen King is very into cosmic justice.
Yes.
And then he finds a guy at a bar who is drunk, and he says that he has seen them, and that the gypsies walked up to him, and they were like, "Oh, how's your dead wife? Oh, you'll see her soon." Which is such a dick move, and that guy didn't do anything wrong. Which is sort of the beginning of the gypsies just not being on the side of good. And then later, while they're still trying to find them and haven't totally found them yet, Joe Mantegna pays a guy to just look out for them, and they murder him and rip his eyeballs out. And then you're like, oh, I don't know what's supposed to be happening. I don't know who's good anymore. It loses all track of black and white, which is how he works. You know, there isn't usually a lot of gray in these.
Well, one thing, Jim, that might clear this up for you is that Stephen King didn't write this.
The story?
Richard Bachman did.
Oh, and Richard Bachman is a nihilist.
Yeah, Richard Bachman is a goddamn lunatic.
Right.
So this is a Bachman book,
I've seen the Dark Half, Jason. I know all about Bachman. Yeah. That makes so much more sense.
So it was Stephen King's dark twin.
It was his dark half. Yeah.
Quite literally, if you've seen the movie, The Dark Half.
Yeah. He wrote this and The Running Man. I think are the only ones we've come across so far.
I think it's the only ones we've
And
done.
he was like, a fat guy getting roadhead and he kills a gypsy's daughter.
I'm so sleazy. I'm Richard Bachman.
In the book, it's only a hand job, so it's even it's even
That's
lower rent.
disappointing. Yeah,
That's cheap.
lame.
But it was very disgusting. I was picturing him just like being really gassy off that rich dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Where
It's
everybody
so
was like
disgusting.
mocking him for being like a fat pig.
It's kind of astonishing that he gets to be that fat before he's trying to change his ways, because everyone is so abusive to him about
oh my
how
god,
fat
they're like,
he
here,
is.
piggy.
Yeah. You would think that a year ago when he started getting chubby, they would have been like, what's up, you fatty, fat? You gonna eat 3 more ribs? I bet you are, because your teeth are so round. And he would have been
boy.
like, oh, I'm gonna stop.
They are literally rubbing his tummy
Yeah.
in many parts of this movie.
Yes.
This movie,
I mean,
I know that at least a few other movies in our month are in the running, but this feels like the horniest movie that we've watched.
That might be true. That might be true.
Like, in terms of
The,
characters and just in terms of the film itself. Like,
Yeah.
it just... I was watching, I was like, what the... Like, it starts out with the wife just talking about her and her husband having sex in the backseat of his car in front of their teenage daughter.
Yes.
And then...
Oh yeah.
And and then there's all of the ways that the camera and the people in the movie leer at the gypsy woman.
Yes.
And there's, as we said, the roadhead scene, and then all of this other stuff. Like, it just felt, it's like, well, goddamn, this movie is being written with one hand.
Can I tell you, I believe Lucinda Jenny, the wife, I believe her being horny for him in a fat suit more than I believe her being horny for that horrible, sleazy doctor.
Oh, the doctor's terrible.
Yeah.
She is feeding him meringue pies
Yeah.
and like coconut
She
cream
seems-
pies
she
and then
seems kind
scolding
of
him
into
for eating it.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
think she's a feeder. I think she's like
Feeder,
into getting him
100%.
chubby and doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they...
And then
Which is
being like,
legit.
no,
I respect that,
you're
you know?
disgusting.
They obviously, they have some kind of dynamic going on at the beginning there,
Yeah.
where she like she feeds him, and then she tries to dominate him and control his weight,
Yeah.
and then he
Yes.
pushes back against it, and that sparks whatever they've got, and then
Yeah.
they do their business.
Yeah.
Agreed. Although by the end of no, it's not because of that. I was like, by the end of the movie, he's furious with her, but it's because he finds out she's cheating on him. It does seem
Well,
like
we
they
get-
have an interesting power dynamic in their relationship that the movie doesn't want to really go into.
Did you see her groceries haul? She had like 4 bags of family size of the same chips and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fucking fridge full of Diet Coke.
Yeah, she just buys trash. Just enormous amounts of garbage to feed it.
There's also a way to squint at this movie and see, because they don't give you absolute certainty that she's sleeping with the doctor.
Sure.
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
kind of squint at it and see it just as an extension of this dude's
Oh, for sure. Just him
psychosis,
guiltily
yeah.
seeing because this man. So again, I went into this thinking this was Stephen King, not Richard Bachman, which threw me because in a Stephen King movie, he would go up against evil and then fight and win and everyone would be happy. And in this movie, he at the end is a legitimate, horrible monster.
Yeah, at the beginning
right.
and at the end.
Yeah, exactly. He has no redemption. And it gives him the chance, right? It's like he at the end gets a curse pie that removes his curse, but also it's full of curse. And he's just remorseless and has learned no lesson and feeds it to his wife and accidentally his daughter, and it gives him a half a beat to be like, oh no, I accidentally killed my daughter, and then he sees the doctor and immediately it's back to like boo 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 boo, and he's snarling at the camera.
Well,
he's
He's
still
like,
gonna
I'm gonna
kill
go
himself,
murder
though.
that doctor. Sure, but he just has it just completely steamrolls over his moment of sadness.
Yeah.
You're like,
Right.
oh no, but like, nope, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's
It
going to
was-
go kill
it was
more
a
people and everything will be
weirdly
fine.
dark note to be treated so
Yeah.
lightly.
Yeah.
He didn't have like a transformation too. It was just
No.
like he was beaten up by like everybody and everything. Joe Mantegna took his life over for him, and then he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm evil. I'm
Yeah.
gonna kill my own family."
He has zero arc the whole movie.
Yeah.
The Mantegna, the most interesting character in this film, is, as I said, he's like so thankful about this court case at the beginning that they're basically strangers, and then this guy calls him up later and is like, look, these gypsies have done terrible things to me, and Mantegna's like, don't worry, I got you, boy. And just shows up wherever he is and camps with him for what, like a week?
At least.
And helps him hunt down these people and has guns shipped to where they are, and then shows up and like rains a hail of gunfire down on this town and makes them shoot one of their own people, and then shows up dressed as a cop the next day. He goes and then throws acid on
then
people.
he does an acid
so
splash.
hard for this man he barely knows for no good reason, because he's a maniac.
Listen, you fat rat gypsy, my client here make me gonna put a bullet in your head. I like when Joe Mantegna's like, I don't hate this, I fucking love it.
Yeah,
Joe Mantegna
loves just
is
doing gangster shit.
pure joy in this movie. And what I loved about that, especially, is it seems from my tiny minimal research that this is a pretty faithful adaptation to the book. And I don't know how many trashy like crime or horror paperbacks either of you have read in your life.
Not many.
But this is a film that's gotten the closest to what those books actually usually feel like. Like often when the kind of stuff like, I don't know, Dennis Lehane or I don't know, pick your poison gets adapted into a film, it gets condensed, but it also gets classed up a little bit. But this is what those movies often really feel like, which is like you're going along a whole lot of plot that diverts this way and it diverts that way, and then there's some kind of really sleazy character that comes back in at the end who gets to do all of this weird fun stuff, and there's just the way that everything kind of fell one thing after another in this movie. I was really excited. I was like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to read like a really trashy men's novel. Yeah. You know, and that's what Richard Bachman is.
It's supernatural pulp.
Yes.
Yeah.
With like earthly mafia style and like earthly power dynamics and like I thought it was strange all the I didn't expect all the dynamics of like power structures of like the white men in the town and how they all kind of pat each other on the back, and there's like these weird court proceeding scenes where they're all like, I didn't see nothing, and the other guy's like, well, nothing must have happened,
which brings back to the Mangler.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
It does. No, I mean it's there. There's a strong social conscience even in a Bachman book.
Yeah, it's like taking a quick swing at the patriarchy.
Yeah,
right at the beginning.
I think after
although then going back to these gypsies who are also at least in this a patriarchal society, which I believe is not true, and it would have been nice if they weren't.
Yeah.
So
I liked my favorite character after Joe Mantegna was the fat tailor who wants to know the dieting secrets.
Yes.
It's like a meeting of the minds.
This one.
And especially the way he jumps down to measure him, it was so weirdly shot.
Oh, yeah.
It's because the movie's so horny.
The movie's so horny.
Up. Yeah, that was the wax seal for me of the horniness.
Yeah, exactly. He had some funny line right before he did that too, but I can't remember what it is.
I'm sure.
I'm going to kiss your pecker now.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's right. Yeah. I was really torn about not getting to see the lizard man at first.
I mean, we do see him in the dream.
Right. So eventually you see it, but at first you're just getting it described. And I was really torn because it's like, on the one hand, it keeps that sort of element of the fantastic going, where it's like, well, maybe he isn't actually turning into a lizard, and maybe these people are just talking crazy, and you know, and also you just like you kind of imagine it in your head probably better than they can make it. But at the same time,
that's kind of how I was feeling it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was like, oh, but it would have been so good if they had just been like, he said lizard, and then they open the door and he's just like, blah, 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 I'm a lizard. But they would have had to go like
Komodo dragon,
really go for it, like go for making him a lizard. And when we finally see him, I was like, oh, I'm glad they didn't show him before. I wish they weren't showing him now. He doesn't look good at all.
I spent the whole movie being like, oh, I bet they're not going to show us I bet they're not showing us the lizard man because they can't do it justice. Because even the other guy, he's like a bumpier.
Yeah.
They show him just a little bit in lamplight, which is smart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when Lizard Guy showed up, I was like, oh, this is rad. I was super into it. He looked like a 40-year-old paper mache guy.
I was just grumpy for that whole scene.
I was so into it.
I liked that too. I liked that he was basically crisping apart.
Yeah.
And it was like, buddy, I'm going to hell too. Get the fuck in my rod.
Yeah.
I would have liked it
he
if
was
it was
just
real,
so
maybe.
loud and enthusiastic. Well, I also still believed it was real at that point, so that's probably why.
I was too dozing off to understand that it was like a divergent.
I was like, this guy has showed up and he's completely switched personalities, and now he's rowdy, and he's gonna be. I thought he was gonna basically be what Joe Montana is at the end.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be like this crispy, falling apart, screaming man who led us on fire into the night.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, that's what I thought was
I
happening.
like that Joe Montana is such a true gangster that anything that happens, even if it's the most bizarre supernatural occurrence, he's got a set of solutions for. He's got acid
based in
thrown
mafia
someone's
stuff.
face.
Yeah.
Well, we're skipping over the most amazing thing about when he first calls him. When he first calls him, he's like, hey, do you believe in gypsy curses? And Joe Montana's like, no, but my mom does.
My mother does.
And then leans over and he's like,
so beautiful.
She says that XYZ. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't believe in it, but she says this. So if you believe in it here, I'm gonna transfer that information to you.
Yeah.
Hey, do what you
so
will with it.
strong. Yeah.
All the
Cool.
rich people end up like blaming each other when shit hits the fan. They just have no affinity to like each other.
Yeah.
They don't have they just have power, but they don't have any social structure to support like them in times when they get tough. Which I guess is why they're all cheating on each other.
Yeah, they've never dealt with anything before, so they'll freak out.
Yeah, because they live in Maine.
Yeah.
It's like a gypsy caravan. I ought to kill all those people.
Yeah.
I'm a rich white Maine guy.
Well, it's a great contrast.
Why don't we
right?
just
Like,
sweep them into the ocean?
You have this caravan of people coming in who are a tight-knit community and take care of one another and are really like supportive, and then you just have the perfect contrast of shitty white American society. That and I did kind of like that he was like, oh, I'll bring the curse of the white man on you.
Yeah.
And then the curse of the white man is like, I'm going to call a guy who I know. I'm like, I'm going to use my cultural, my social connections, my financial connections to just bring a sociopath in.
Which is like
that
the solution, I think.
That's what white guys have. That was it's such a beautiful moment where the gypsy guy is like, no, I double curse you, and then squeezes his fist and blood comes out.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to do the curse of the white man from town, and it's just everyone's laughing at him, and then she shoots him in the hand with a rock.
Yeah.
So his hand starts bleeding, and then they're all like, oh no.
Yeah, I thought all of that was really strong.
Oh, that's real now. Yeah.
Also, later when the older gypsy man wakes him up and says, "Your dreams smell bad to me," such a strong line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And he hands them the pie. The pie scene.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie when I was really young, and I don't remember a single thing besides the fat suit and the hand combination with the pie scene.
yeah.
Is like very sealed in for me. That was like
Very visually iconic.
I didn't realize how closely pies were tied with bloody hands until
I feel like
I remembered
the
this scene.
pie actually is the only strong argument whoever wrote that Wikipedia article has for this being body horror, because that pie is like a fucking pie baked by David Cronenberg.
Yeah, the pie is horrible.
It like opens up a little slit and gobbles up the blood, and then when he puts it down on the table, it's bubbling, and like that pie is the new flesh. Like everything else is just cartoons.
Yeah. Sorry, someone's shooting guns in my neighborhood.
Oh, cool. Great.
My dad loved this movie. He was always quoting it and talking to me about it.
Wait, what were the quotes that he quoted at you?
He would say thinner a lot.
Of course you do. No, in my head, so when the gypsy finally said thinner, it was a bit of a letdown. Because in my head, from seeing the commercials on TV over and over again, in my head it had built up to
He
him
says it
saying
for a full 30 seconds in the
exactly.
commercial. Yeah.
Wait, where I have.
You killed my daughter, and I curse you.
To my dog brain, I was very disturbed by having the hot girl dance, pull a coin out of her bra, pull her skirt up, see her crotch, see her smile, and then flip me off.
And then spit on the ground.
That was so dark.
Again, it's a very horny movie, and that all was something that it was, like, something about the movie was into it. Yeah. It's that same kind of push and pull that the husband and wife have. It's like this this enticement and spurning. This movie is just it's edging the whole time.
Right, getting sucked off on the highway, then killing an old lady.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I gotta go soon.
Yeah, we gotta go too. Yeah,
We should go about 15 minutes ago, probably.
I think this episode's over.
Okay.
I don't know that we ever started it.
Did we not? I don't know.
I think we have to start it now. Can we do another 30 minutes?
Yeah, Shane, are you good to go? That was all like practice run.
Yeah, preamble.
No, I will absolutely not do this. If this is the type of bullshit you guys are going to be pulling, I'm absolutely fucking fed up with this.
Go back to your own podcast, you
yeah, you're a
goddamn
terrible,
filthy animal.
stupid, making jokes, talking about directors.
Wait, is this where we start our feud?
Yeah, I got a kitten corral full of mooks that'll take care of this podcast. So I pray you watch your.
Yeah.
You call this pig corral a podcast?
Hey, we took Gus to a farm yesterday to walk around, and he liked seeing the pigs, but he liked even more weighing himself on the pig scale.
Oh, sure.
He just kept like standing on it and having it go and say what kind of pig he was. Wow. He was a piglet.
How much would he be worth as pork?
Nothing yet, because he's just a piglet. He doesn't have enough meat. I, however, was ready for market. So.
What does that mean? How many dollars?
Well, no, it just means that like you can be sold for meat.
How much?
You're a pig.
If you're over that, then you're probably breeding
pork
stock.
Belly bacon.
So it's just whatever money you get for pigs. Because if you're heavier than ready for market, that's because you're old and you're breeding stock and you've just gotten really big.
I know that.
Shane, are you still here? Because I told you to get the fuck out.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I thought I heard you correctly. I just wanted to show you my asshole real quick and then give you guys a send-off.
Oh, my God. It's covered in nougat.
You gentlemen have a great night. Good luck on this little thing you guys got. I'm really proud to see it get off the ground.
Yeah, we'll bury you.
And okay.
Slash your podcast tires.
I'm being told I don't have to do this anymore, so I'm going to hang up.
Okay, I love you. $4.50 a pound is what you pay for hanging weight for a pig.
Hell to the King is a special presentation of the Cinesthesia podcast, produced by Iguana Donald Studios, and distributed by Split Tooth Media. Music by Loyalty Freak and Grundly Jim. Hell to the King is recorded in front of a live sleeping audience, who are in a bed, in a bedroom. We're in the closet during the day, but at night we record. Please take a decongestant. Your snoring is ruining our audio.
Oh, man, I'm looking at a picture of that dang Eclair painting right now.
Cinesthesia.